Hello again, Craig here from ForbiddenKnowledge.info. I'm here in Ohio. Let me get to that in a minute. For those of you who normally listen to my show, this is recorded on YouTube. Whether or not we're going to post this and leave it on YouTube for the world to see later, we're not sure yet. But in the meantime, you're listening to Forbidden Knowledge on the Liberty Tree Radio Network. You are listening on, what's the date today? January 5th, day after the Independence Day, where if you're patriotic, you blow off Chinese fireworks for some reason. And so it's live then, it's actually recorded, but we're going to post it on YouTube possibly. We'll determine that later. But anyway, you're listening to Forbidden Knowledge on the Liberty Tree Radio Network. And I'm live in Ohio this weekend. If you're listening on the 5th of July of 2017, then we're going to be this weekend at a prepper show in Raleigh, North Carolina. Go to ForbiddenKnowledge.info for all the information on those locations. We'll be coming up. We'll be going to South Carolina. We got one coming up in Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, Kentucky. We got a lot of shows coming up. They're all listed on ForbiddenKnowledge.info. So go there. But in the meantime, I've got a guest here with me. If you're just listening on the radio, you can't see this, but I have a guest. It's Dr. Alphonzo Monzo at the Balance of Life Clinic in Medina, Ohio, I believe it is. And so we're broadcasting from there while we're recording it from there. And we're going to talk probably about alternative energy and whatever else comes to our mind here. I met Alphonzo, I don't know, it was about almost 8-9 years ago at a gun show that I was doing in Columbus, or somewhere around here, probably Akron, or I can't remember, at a gun show. But I met him, he came up to the table, and we talked, he saw, but we're kind of on the same mindset. I've been doing alternative medicine, if that's what we want to call it, for a number of years also. But Alphonzo is much more into it, and he's actually been. Well, why don't you talk about your background a little bit? Talk about how you started. You were an electrical engineer, I learned earlier. So
I started out studying electrical engineering and basically, building circuits, repairing computers, all that kind of stuff. I just kind of got tired of it. I liked the stuff. I was interested in physics and electronics and all that stuff, but I just didn't want to fix other people's computers and stuff like that. So I went back to school and went to college. Wasn't really sure what I was going to study, and I got sick. So I came down with ulcerative colitis. And so I went to the normal doctors and stuff. They put me on drugs. It really wasn't getting any better. So at that point, their next idea was cut out your colon. And when I asked them what caused it, they didn't have an answer. They said, well, it's not really genetics, and it's not food, and it's not stress, and it's this kind of bad luck. And I'm like, well, how are you going to fix it if you don't know what caused it? So I didn't like that idea, and I didn't want to do the surgery, so I went into the alternative world and met a doctor who was about, I don't know, at the time he was 92, 93. He was German. He's been doing alternative medicine his whole life. And he changed my diet and got me on herbs and found I had heavy metals and parasites. And within a year, I was back to normal. So because of that, I changed my career again and went into natural medicine. Well, picked up my pre-med courses, and then I went into natural medicine and got my naturopath degree, which is a doctor who specializes in natural medicine.
So you got a doctorate in naturopathy.
Yep.
Okay.
And because of my background, I wanted to specialize more into the biophysics, which is basically studying the energy systems of the body. So most people are kind of familiar with acupuncture and stuff like that, but there are other systems too.
But muscle testing, there's a lot of relating with the energies of the body.
Muscle testing, lasers, anything that would work with energy or frequency or magnetism. Yep.
Okay. Well, let me back up just a little bit. Okay, so you did not have the surgery, and you fixed the problem?
Yes, I did not have the surgery.
Fixed the problem. Now you mentioned parasite. What was their explanation about what caused it?
The medical doctor or the alternative?
The alternative.
Dr. Barron. When he tested me, he found, I think he was doing live blood analysis at the time, and he also did a blood test for sensitivities and a stool test, and he found protozoa parasites in large quantities of heavy metal. I think for heavy metal I had to do a urine analysis test where I think it was EDTA, and it chelates the metals and you pee it out. But I had really high mercury in my body, and the protozoa, and of course the standard American diet, which was not good. Actually, probably even worse than that because it was college food at the time. And I did have a number of sensitivities, but that was probably because I was really inflamed. And
So no one specific thing. I heard a lot of different things there.
yep,
A combination of things was causing it. So he never had to get surgery, and he repaired you, or I guess we can't really use the word cure, but he corrected the problem.
correct,
Okay, and without any of the things that doctors want to do, removing part of your colon.
correct.
And removing part of your colon then probably wouldn't have done any good. You mentioned live blood analysis. That's one of the things I used to do. In fact, I still have my dark field microscopy. Sometimes it's referred to. They look at a drop of blood on a microscopic slide under a process called dark field, and probably, and you could do live, you could do bright field too, but dark field, and it shows the live blood. So it shows what's in your blood. It shows, so it kind of gives you an idea what's going on in the body. Okay, so. So that's typically what I hear when people got into this, is something that affected their life, either their life or a loved one that got them into finding out the secrets of getting actually. We try to stay away from the word cure. As alternative healthcare practitioners, we have to be careful the words we use, because the FDA wants to try to attack us. But
They kind of have a monopoly on our vocabulary.
You want to make yourself good. You want to make yourself better. So
That's right.
okay, so. So what are what are your favorite things? Okay, for energy, and we were talking right before about cell phone energies and things. But
Yep.
what are some of the things that are your favorites then, as far as the body's energies and how it relates to our health?
Oh, wow, that's a huge topic.
Well, another one we had was the laser.
Yeah,
we both have something called a low level laser, which
Yep.
is not like a laser pointer. It's a light of a lower intensity than that. It's not dangerous to the body. In fact, it can be therapeutic if used the right way. I have a stimulating laser and a resonating laser, and your laser here, as we talked, was a resonating laser.
Correct.
And so what types of things do you use the low-level laser for here?
Here, predominantly, we probably use it for allergy elimination to help desensitize people to reactions. We do use it a lot for stop smoking, weight loss, some pain. And then normally just for balancing different things. So maybe someone has the adrenal glands are weak and they need a little bit of a boost, so we can do something for that. But that laser has about 140,000 frequencies. It has hertz frequencies, but it also has substance-specific frequencies. So you can treat with.
Now,
it's basically just the laser is just a carrier wave to carry the frequency into the body.
when you're using the laser, and for those of you who don't know what the laser is, we're not talking about cutting or burning here.
No burning.
We're talking about applying it somewhere to the body, and the light can actually penetrate the skin and possibly to an organ and do these things. Is this particular laser you have? I know the laser I have was FDA approved for a couple of things. Is the one you have approved for anything by the FDA?
Yes, it has been approved by the FDA. I think it's mainly for maybe minimizing pain and a few other things.
I found mine to be useful on so many things that once it wasn't FDA approved,
Yeah.
but it could be used for a lot of things. In fact, I got a quick story to tell you. I actually saved somebody, and actually he's got a kind of a famous name in our business. I won't mention his name though. I actually saved his legs from gangrene using the laser. And he went back to his doctor, and he had an alternative doctor. The alternative, well, he was a real medical doctor, but he would use leech therapy, for instance, which most doctors probably will stay away from. But anyway, he did some alternative things as a real medical doctor. Well, anyway, I saved his legs. I greatly improved his legs. He went back to his doctor, and the doctor looked at his legs and said, well, what did you do? This wasn't something, what happened here? Something happened here. And he told him about the laser. And the doctor told me this, the doctor, and I later worked with this doctor a little bit. He told the client, the person I was using the laser on for his legs, he told him, and said, oh, I didn't even think of that. I have one of those. He actually had a low-level laser in his office, but he couldn't use it because it wasn't approved by the FDA for gangrene.
Yep.
So anyway, so some lasers are approved for certain things, and so yours is also, because different brands, they have to jump through these hoops and spend millions of dollars and wait years with the FDA. It's very difficult to get any kind of alternative.
They also have it FDA approved for treating allergies and sensitivities, but only when you use the laser in conjunction with their homeopathic remedies, because some homeopathy is FDA registered.
Okay.
So they can't make the claim with the laser by itself, but in the combination, because they usually have some kind of program they suggest you use. I don't always use their programs, but sometimes.
That was part of the study then to get the FDA approval.
Right.
They would have had to do other things, yeah.
And the other thing we use the laser a lot with is activating acupuncture points. So you
Okay.
can use this later on the acupuncture
Instead of
points.
needles,
Instead
yeah,
of
that's
needles.
one of the things, yep.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, what other types of energy, and I've seen the laser do some amazing things, even things that most doctors would tell you is impossible, and you probably have too.
Yeah, especially skin conditions and, like you said, circulation. I see a lot of rapid healing with skin, and sometimes, especially like maybe something's minor like poison ivy or something, they come in a 7 to 10 minute setting, you can significantly see a reduction in the redness a lot of times. So sometimes it's really fast, and other times it takes a number of treatments. So it really depends on what it is, but yeah.
For those of you who aren't anywhere near the Balance of Life Clinic here in Medina, Ohio, Google search low-level laser in those 3 words together, or cold laser, those 2 words together. What are some of the other names they use for it sometimes? Do you think of any more? I think there was
low-level
another.
laser, cold laser. Some say a therapeutic laser.
Therapeutic laser, yeah. We're not talking, these are class 1 lasers or class 2 lasers, not class 3 or 4. That gets into the burning and cutting. So it's a different class. So not anything that says laser. Like the dentists sometimes have cold lasers for dealing with root canals, I believe. But anyway, they're not your typical medical lasers you'll find that your doctors or dentists have. So just beware, we're talking about a different kind of laser. Okay, so what else in dealing with the body's energies are you like doing?
The other probably big thing I do a lot is energetic testing. I used to do a lot of stuff with muscle testing, but I've gotten away from that now. Now I use a machine called Quest 4, and it's a combination of electrodermal screening and biofeedback, and then it's testing the body via frequencies. So it's basically communicating with the body, and we can test. Basically, we're testing the body to see what's wrong, what's the main causes,
Okay,
and
this
then
is
how to address it.
this machine. I know of a couple. Like, is it
Yep.
a Syra? Does anything like that machine, or the?
Yeah, it used to go by the name of Syra.
Oh, okay. So we're talking. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. All right, because there's all kinds of things on the market that are similar to this. I had a machine called a Compass, and there's some other more advanced ones.
Yeah, Zyto.
Yeah, Zyto company. So
I found this
now
one to be
these-
extremely accurate.
these are not FDA approved, right? Let's get that straight. These
No,
are,
not anymore. I think the Syra originally in this country was, and then the FDA pulled that because they were getting too many results,
Okay.
positive results.
All right. So what when the client comes in, and we don't call them patients, we call them clients. When the client comes in, what does he hold a couple probes? What does the client do?
Yep, they just hold the 2 probes, and then we start the scanning process, and I try to find out what is causing or what is the main problems for the.
And they don't feel anything, right? They're just sitting there holding a couple of cylinders.
Right, they don't feel anything.
And it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes. How long does it take sitting on this machine?
For me, to do a whole comprehensive like we usually do is about an hour.
An hour.
But now if you just wanted to scan something simple like heavy metals, I mean, that would take 5 minutes.
And then the results in the end, if I recall, with the Syra and some other brands, it comes out with a report, basically. The computer generates a report specified for their body, dealing with diet and exercise and all sorts of things, right?
Right.
What kind of things does this report show?
Yeah, so we go through all kinds of stressors. So it can test toxins, heavy metals, parasites, so any types of infection, whether it's parasites, fungus, viruses, all your different types of toxins, metabolic issues, nutritional deficiencies. You can test acupuncture points and pathways like that. So if you want to see how the energy pathways are working in the body, and I mean, the list probably goes on and on. You can do pH. The pH is usually pretty close. It's not 100%. You can do sensitivity, see what foods the person's reacting to, or environmental, like grasses, weeds, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, now this kind of test, again, it's not FDA approved here, but generally what names, say the name of your brand of machine again?
The name of this one is Quest 4, so QEST 4. And
Okay. And so if people aren't anywhere near you, they can look up Quest 4, or what's the generalized name for the entire biofeedback machines? Is that a good word?
yeah, you could say it's a type of biofeedback.
There's so many things out there, though, and when I started looking into it, the information is just all over the board. People are making a lot of claims, too, which, of course, we're not supposed to be able to do.
Yeah, I looked at a lot of machines over the years trying to find one that I really liked. This was my favorite so far just because of the accuracy, and you can reduplicate things. But I mean, I've had a number of times when, and what will happen is like when it finds something, like maybe it's a tooth, so I'll just say tooth number 15, the frequency comes up, and then it will give you a dilution. And now certain dilutions are physical and certain are just energetic. So what that tells you is if it comes up physical, like maybe a 5V, you know it's an actual physical issue in the body. So I can't tell you how many times, I can probably count in my hand just off the top of my head, 5 or 6 people that I found something physically wrong with the tooth and then sent them to the dentist and say, just have them check out this tooth. And the dentist thought, oh, there's nothing wrong with it, and did an x-ray, and then he finds something. One lady, they found like a little growth on the root of her tooth. And afterwards, the dentist was like, how did you know this? But I've seen a lot of things like this with blood tests too. Certain things, when it shows up physically, I'm pretty positive that if I had them go to the doctor and actually had a blood test or something, look at something specifically, they would find it. So, unlike there's other tests out there too I've used, and they weren't even close to being accurate. So,
what does okay? And I probably should back up just a little bit to the cold laser. A lot of people are going to be asking a question about prices, not for the machines themselves, because these machines are tens of thousands of dollars, some of them, but it's to buy. So you're probably not going to be able to buy one yourself. What do you generally charge for like a cold laser treatment, roughly? What would you expect somebody to?
Cold laser is about $65.
$65,
And that's one.
Like an hour of treatment, something of that nature.
I think it's about a half-hour session.
Okay, and then the other machine, I can't remember the brand name again, but
The Quest 4.
the Quest 4. What would be if somebody were to get the entire evaluation? What would that generally cost them?
That's about $180.
$180. Okay, so you can price comparison and get an idea if you can afford these things or not. That if you're anywhere else in the country that you're not near Medina, Ohio, but we're about in the middle of Ohio. It's accessible to people within many states from here. Okay, what other things? You want to keep talking about the Quest 4? Do you want what other things? We mentioned cell phones a little bit. We've got a Rife machine, a type of Rife machine over there. You want to talk about that, or?
Yeah, that's a Quest. That's not a Quest 4. I'm trying to think of the name of that one. It is a version of a Rife machine. It's not completely the same thing as the Rife because it's just you have electrodes you hold on to and the foot pads that you put your feet on. So it's not using a plasma tube like the original Rife. But we've gotten some good results. I can't say it's fixed cancer or anything like that. But usually minor things like parasites, funguses, we've seen really good results and things like that. Sometimes skin conditions. There's been a few people with cancer that said it's helped, but I can't say it's really been anything remarkable.
What type of price would somebody expect to pay for a treatment of that?
I think for that it's somewhere around $50, $60, and that's probably for an hour or more session.
And the Rife-like machine, let's say, and the cold laser, generally it's not just one treatment, it's generally multiple treatments.
Yes.
Whereas the Quest 4, that's going to be a report, and then from there you do what you want with the information, correct?
Yes.
And you can go further with that if you want. Okay, and if you look up Rife machines, unfortunately, you're going to see
tons.
so much different kinds of machines that claim that they're Rife machines. The man who was involved in this research, Royal Raymond Rife, back in the 20s or 30s, long time ago, maybe it wasn't that long ago, he would be rolling in his grave if he saw his name being used for all the things out there that are claiming. It's a catch-all phrase to put on there to get people to look at what their machine is. So be wary of the so-called Rife machines because they go all over the board and they aren't all equal.
Even and that's even true for what they call the Rife frequencies.
Right.
So he identified different frequencies related to different microbes and stuff. But out there now you can find websites and you can get these frequency lists to treat different diseases or whatever, and a lot of them can't really be verified, and a lot of the times they don't even work. So you have to be careful with that too because they're not all Rife frequencies.
And as an alternative, and I'm just going to ask you, and maybe it won't be a good way to answer this, but I was always doing research trying to find out, because there's all kinds of claims in the alternative medical field.
Every company's the best.
Yeah, and they're all selling you something, and including a lot of times some of the people who are the practitioners. Sometimes they're just trying to sell you something, and they bought this expensive machine. Maybe it works good, maybe it doesn't, but they have to go with it because they've got so much invested in it. I found a lot of things that I was trying to research. Either I couldn't come up with a good answer, or it didn't seem to work on everybody. It seemed to work great on some people, and not others. What has your experience with that about these machines, these devices?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty similar. And of course, we do have to remember not everybody's the same, but yeah, there's a lot of devices out there I've tried over the years that just really didn't do anything. This Rife and the laser, like I said, those ones work very well. That's why we use them. But I've had other things that didn't. I think we might have had one or two other Rife machines besides this one, and we didn't see any benefits at all. And I don't even know what the names of them were now, but there's, like you said, there's a bunch of them. And I think that's true for testing devices too. There's been other testing devices we've had that just didn't seem like they were that accurate, or weird things would show up and you'd go, I can't even, sometimes it's not even possible. Something would show up that's for a woman that came up on a man, and you're going, what is this about? So.
Well, I saw that too. The energy device I had, biofeedback device, was a very low entry level one, not very expensive. And I was finding some things that didn't seem to make sense. And there are sometimes you could explain it away at times. But
yeah,
that really shouldn't be the point. It should really be pretty accurate. And I was finding things in there that I wasn't comfortable with telling the client, well, this is what it says, but I don't, I can only go by what the report shows. Do you find that with the Quest 4? Do you find sometimes that things just doesn't seem to work?
No, I haven't found that yet.
Like one instance, one time I had a lady that it showed up to have problems with reproduction issues. And she had like 5 kids. So it just didn't, maybe she has reproductive issues now, but she's got 5 kids, so it just didn't seem to fit, and made me kind of look like a fool showing what this report showed. So sometimes I saw things that just didn't work.
Or she had a problem with her prostate. We had a problem with that too. I forget what it was. It might have been a Zyto type machine, and that happened. Prostate came up on a woman once, and I think ovaries came up for a man once, and I was just like, oh, this just. That just doesn't look good.
Yeah.
You don't even want to show them the report at that point. So then.
And is your machine, the Quest 4, with the laser? It's pretty simple. You need some understanding of what it's doing and how to apply it. But it sounds like this machine, basically anybody could put the probes in your hand and turn the machine on and punch out a report. Is that pretty much true? Do you need some sort of specialized training to use the thing?
You do, depending on how much you want to use. So if you just want to do a generic test, you could just hit the button, run it, and it would show you. But if you want to do a little bit more problem solving and get deeper, which is kind of what I do in the hour, because I could probably get a lot more. I mean, you could probably get a test done a lot quicker, but in the hour I want to really dig deeper.
To interpret the report to the
knowledge.
Client, we definitely would need. But to generate the actual report, the machine does it all.
Yeah, the machine does it.
Yeah, but then when you would look at the page, and based on your experience, and I know with me too, based on what you've seen with other clients, maybe hundreds of clients you've done, you've seen this before, you know how to address it, and maybe it's very common anyway, that you see all the time. So, okay, what other types of...
And the other thing you can do with it too, I use a lot, is imprinting. So like you get a liquid, almost like a homeopathic, and you imprint it with the frequencies based from the testing.
So, by imprinting, now what you're talking about, I believe, is like a tray that you put some type of liquid on, and then the computer actually generates a frequency to imprint a energetic signature into the liquid, right?
Correct.
They can be used as a homeopathic or drink or whatever.
Right, and then they put drops in their mouth, or if it's pellets, whatever it is.
Okay, so
and I've seen great results with that.
Essentially, what you're doing is, of course, the FDA doesn't like this, is you're generating some sort of prescription. You're generating a customized medicine, something to drink that's going to potentially heal you.
Yeah.
And of course, the FDA won't approve any such thing. And essentially, you look at it as just water. It doesn't change it doesn't make it cloudy or anything. It just still looks like water. I mean, basically, it's all it is. But yet, it's got an energy in it, a signature into it. That if you're into energy medicine, if you study that a little bit, everything is energy.
So I call it the software for the body, because you're basically giving the body information to run the hardware. Because sometimes maybe it's just the information system in the body that's not working correctly. And you can take all the supplements in the world, but if you don't fix that corrupted information, the body can't utilize it correctly. So it's kind of like the software of the body. How
does your background in electrical engineering, does it really relate to any of this? I mean, we're talking about different kinds of electricity, obviously. Nothing like this is studied in school.
Not to this level. I mean, that basic understanding helped, especially understanding electromagnetic and frequencies and stuff like that. But when it comes to the body, it's a little bit different. But it still helped because it gave me a foundation to work off of. So I still had to study a lot in biophysics to kind of fill in the gaps.
And do you have anything to add about, we talked about cell phone frequencies or Wi-Fi signals and all this stuff we're surrounded by hundreds of different types of electromagnetic energy, and some of it goes right through our bodies. Is there some tips or knowledge you want to give to the audience about, because there's some people that claim to be hypersensitive, they walk in a room,
Yep.
they can tell when Wi-Fi is on, supposedly, or that they can tune in a radio station with their filling or whatever. There's all kinds of things out there. Do you have any, do you want to talk about any of that?
Sure. So I usually try to tell people to stay, try to be as smart as you can with the technology, because there does seem to be some effects. And I think the problem is we've had, it's a whole huge field to get into, because it's everything is compartmentalized here. So medical doctors really usually don't know anything about electrical engineering and physics and stuff like that, and they don't understand the energetic systems of the body, so they have no way of identifying how a device could affect the body, because they're looking at the body from a chemistry perspective. In the same way, the engineer who's developing the device, they don't really understand how the body works, so they really don't understand. So a lot of the information out there today is about SAR, which is the specific absorption rate. And did I say that right? Well, anyways, the specific absorption rate. And what they're looking at is how deep in the tissue is the radiation affecting. In other words, how much of the tissue gets heated by the radiation of the device. And then that's what they give, the FCC gives as a safety rating on how safe your phone is. But it's really not that radiation that's the problem. It's not really the heating of the tissue. And what it is the phone is broadcasting information just like everything else. And what happens is it interferes with our communication systems that are on a energy level. So you have energy pathways, and the way I look at them is they're like a telecommunication system within the body.
When you say heating, you're talking about microwaves from cell phones.
Correct.
That's what you're talking right now. Okay.
Yeah, because if anyone doesn't know, cell phones work off RF frequencies, and so when you're dealing with cell phones and RF, you have to understand that it's not just a radio wave. It's a radio wave and a microwave superimposed on each other, and then there's low level frequencies too, and they have to use both to carry that signal across the world, otherwise they wouldn't be able to carry all the information. So when you're talking about cell phones and radio frequencies, it's not just radio frequency you're getting from the cell phone, you're getting microwave too.
Now you'd have to lump the smart meters in with this same category, right?
Yes, smart meters, Wi-Fi, and really it's just a communication issue. It's interfering with the body's communication. And there's just now some studies coming out showing that some areas they're starting to find chemically that it's interfering with is your body's antioxidant pathways. So, and your calcium ion channels. So sometimes it will open those up, close them. So basically on all your cells you have these channels where nutrients are supposed to go in or come out. And it usually works by electrical voltage potential. So a shift in positive negative cell or molecules. So everything has different positive negative, and some negatives come in the cell, which means there's less on the outside, and that causes a electronic potential across the cell membrane, and that's what opened up the channels. It's kind of like breathing. If you have equal pressure in your lungs as outside of the lungs, you can't get any air in or out unless you force it out, because there's equal pressure. But if your lungs have less pressure, then the pressure forces its way in. So it's kind of the same thing. There's this positive negative electromagnetic voltage potential on the cell membrane that allows things inside the cell, or allows the cell to open up and let things out. And what they're finding is it's causing these calcium channels to open up too much and let too much in or too much out, and the same thing with the antioxidants. And they're just now finding that. So for years we have not understood how could a phone make a chemical.
Okay, when you say they, now when you go into the chemical realm, now the medical doctors, you're saying they as the allopathic, the medical establishment is now finally not recognizes.
Research and medical doctors.
They're not going to recognize the hooey about you're being affected by the waves, you can feel them, they don't want to hear that, but it now sees it chemically that can demonstrate it. Now they're paying a little attention. Okay, I had not heard this part of it, so I didn't know that was happening. Because generally, the medical establishment will just totally ignore you if you say you're being affected by cell phone energy or
right, because they don't understand the method usually.
It's not in their criteria at their schooling.
So I just tell people be safe. You know, you don't want to carry it around on you all the time. You know, if you're in your car, set it over somewhere. If you're at a place sitting, set your phone away from you. Try to turn your Wi-Fi off at night so it's not on all night.
Use a speakerphone.
Yep, use speakerphone.
What about headsets? What do you think about headsets?
I mean, it's still a little bit better. I don't know how much better.
Some say the electrical energy will travel right up to the earplugs.
Yep.
You don't know. Okay. What about?
And they do have the hollow tube ones, which I've used in the past.
Yeah. What I didn't like about those is the little part. The wire comes up to a part that's basically against your heart.
Yeah, it's right here, and then you have.
And then the tubes, but okay. An air tube, like I guess aircraft used to use them.
Yeah, they used to use them in aircraft.
Like a stethoscope, essentially. The signal goes by air instead of by wire. What about? Okay, I'm trying to think what else I was about cell phones that I was going to.
Now the other thing I just saw that's interesting is they were showing that. Because some people think if you just get like a little flip phone, you're safer than the smartphones.
Mm-hmm.
But what they're showing is any phone where so a lot depends on the network. If you have a phone that doesn't get good bars, they said the phone actually has to work harder to try to make the connection, so then it's actually producing more radiation.
Right.
But then again, we still don't know if is it actually the radiation of the phone, or is it just the frequencies the phone's working off of that are interfering with your body's communication systems.
Yeah, remember, for those of you listening or watching, 15 years ago, there was all kinds of fear-mongering out there, how we're all going to have brain cancer by the year whatever. And here we are, we've been using them for at least 15 years, maybe 20, and we don't seem to be coming down with brain cancer. So take some of this with a grain of salt, that when a new technology comes out, it takes time for it to be proven, but I think by now cell phones have been proven that no, we're not all going to die by using a cell phone. But you can limit your exposure if you're concerned about it.
Yes, definitely.
And so using a speakerphone, even I remember when I first had my first cell phone, they did, if you were in a metal building, they basically wouldn't work at all. But now a lot of times they will. So things are changing somehow, and I think they've actually reduced the level of radiation. People can buy these things that you can put on your phone that will supposedly magically make you safe. What do you think about those?
Again, those are really hard to test. Now I've tested some with they have a RF meter, which does measure your radio microwave that's emitting from
You
your
can physically
phone.
measure the signal coming off the phone.
And I really haven't seen any devices that reduce that. So, but for the company's credits, most companies will not advertise that they reduce cell phone radiation. Basically to say that they are changing the wave in some way, or balancing your body, or strengthening your body so that it's more adaptive. So most of them won't claim that they're reducing any radiation, because they're not. So,
and even if they really do reduce the radiation, then your signal's not going to get out. It's going to have to power up even more to try to push the signal through.
Exactly.
So in a way, they don't make sense.
And then how do you test those things? It's like we don't. I mean, acupuncture is one system out there that's pretty well established and we understand. But there's other energy systems in the body too that we can't completely measure perfectly, and we don't understand how they correlate to all the biochemical reactions. So it's like, how can you prove that the device is making your body safer? We don't have a method yet of measuring that.
Well, doesn't your Quest machine give you some information? Does it have a section about radio frequencies interference? Is there...
Actually, it does. It has sometimes geopathic stress things will come up on people, and under geopathic stress, it might say, radio waves or cell phone or Wi-Fi or something from the earth.
Some of the tips for people who are concerned, I've done shows about, turn off the Wi-Fi at night when you're not using it, or have it located in another room and your computer in another room. What do you believe about the signals coming out of the wires of the house that are buried in the wall? You're sleeping with your headboard against the wall, and then behind there, you can measure this with a trimeter. You can actually measure some electrical.
Trifold meter is great. Trifield meter. And
so what do you believe about the electricity going through our wiring of our house, the AC, the 60 hertz cycle? What do you think about that?
It does seem to have some kind of effect, but it's not like It's not major.
Well, we've been living with it for what 100
Right.
years or whatever, so it's obviously it hasn't killed us all.
It's more like if the person's living next to a tower or something where they're getting huge amounts all the time. That's usually when I see more problems with people. And then it really depends on the person. I mean, I don't really know how to explain it yet, but there are some people that seem to be more sensitive to things. And I don't know if it's just
Is there a way to test
exposure
that?
over time. That,
Is this possibly in some of these people's heads, or is there ways to test this? Do you know? If they really are, or if they're just imagining it, or if they really are being affected. You don't know?
I don't know, it's pretty hard.
Okay. Well, some people will
I
claim
have,
up and down.
because I have had some people that have like what they call EHS, electrical hypersensitivities. And one person I think of specifically, he was actually in the medical field doing testing in hospitals and stuff for radiation. He was like a X-ray tech or whatever, and he was in the military too. So he was exposed to a lot of stuff, and then his story is that he bought one of the new iPhones, and right after that, everything went to hell, and he basically can't function outside of his own house that he has wired correctly. Now, is that because he was submitted to intense radiation for years, and who knows what they experimented on him, and then all of a sudden his body just can't handle it anymore? I don't know. It's like the food sensitivities. If you have a autoimmune disease of the gut, where your gut's inflamed and it's, maybe there's ulcers, maybe there's not, but it's just like a leaky gut type symptom, you're going to start reacting to a lot of foods because your body's not reacting right. But once that gets healed, all of a sudden you don't react to those foods anymore. So is it one of those situations where they're just overly sensitive now to everything? So.
And also, are you aware that, and not too far from here actually, there's a huge radio quiet zone in like Western Virginia Western Virginia and the state of West Virginia. Are you aware of that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, in fact, I always have a trouble. I have no signal as I go through that area. There's sometimes, I don't remember, I've done a show about it, but there's some sort of government research area, and there's a huge area of like half of West Virginia and a good portion of Virginia where basically you can't have any cell phones and there's nothing there. So
That's cool.
you gotta look into that for your clients. There's an area not too far from here that as you go through, you won't have no cell phone signal. You just can't get a signal out because it's basically forbidden. There's an area of this country, how many thousands of square miles, or maybe I should say hundreds of square miles, I don't know if it's thousands or not, this radio silence area in this country. So for some sort of research, I don't remember what it was anymore. But anyway, there are areas that those types of people can move to, that they'll be protected from that should be protected from that, and then you can really, and whether it's just a placebo or not, that's for them. Okay, if it's just placebo, okay, they can move there and they can get better. I don't think they'll even allow the old-fashioned, I think 900 megahertz wireless phones.
Yeah, because some people say there's problems with that too.
They don't even allow that there, and there's actually people driving around the neighborhoods, government types, listening to see if anybody's using these things, and if they are, they get warned and all this. So anyway, there's an area of the country of the United States you can go.
I know some people say the same thing with Nikolai Tesla. They said he was probably one of the first people that had extreme sensitivities that he developed. They said that he couldn't handle cars driving down the roads or clocks in the other room later on in life. But again, is that just because the AC current he was developing was bad, or is it because he was putting himself through really crazy experiments?
Yeah.
The guy was probably exposed to way more than what we would ever
And way more than anybody at the time, certainly,
so
than anybody even knew about.
and we don't even know everything he was developing.
Okay, what about anything else? Are you just so you have a cell phone or an iPhone? Do you have these devices like most of us do?
Yeah, I do. I have a Samsung. It's one of the newer
So you're not
phones,
afraid of those?
So I don't.
Okay.
I just smart with it. I don't.
What about smart meters? Do you have one on your home? Do you know of?
I do not have one in our home.
And that's because you kept it from them, or kept them from changing it, or just because they just haven't got around to you yet?
No, because they haven't got it to us.
Oh, okay.
Which I hope they stay away.
Okay. So you'd rather not have it.
I'd rather not have it.
And
either
then,
way.
and if people who do have it, the best advice you could test, and you can put these blockers on, but then it blocks the signal, and then it can heat up, and it could even probably cause a fire. But
they have some kind of paint you can paint the wall with. So if it's on the outside of the house, you
Right.
paint the inside of the house, so it blocks
you don't
it.
want to locate your bed like on the other side of the wall, maybe, of these devices, right?
Right.
Same kind of thing. The farther you are away, the less of a chance you're going to have any kind of effect from them.
Right. Yep.
Everybody else in the neighborhood's got it, so if you eliminate yours,
It helps a little.
maybe. But you're not going to get rid of it unless you move to some quiet area like we were just talking about.
I mean, even most health food stores now will have Wi-Fi. It's almost become a
And multiples of them, even if they don't have
mandatory.
it, the neighbors have it. So
Yeah.
Anywhere you go, anywhere you log in a city, you're gonna show 10 Wi-Fi somewhere in the area.
Yeah, and if you live in an apartment complex, you're going to find 20, 30 of them.
Well, anything else about energies you want? What do you believe? You used to do muscle testing, from what I thought I heard, right?
Yep.
Do you still do that?
I still can. I just don't do it anymore because I find more accuracy with the computer.
The machine's better. Okay.
Because with the muscle testing, then you have to learn proper ways of using it, and depending on what the person thinks or what you think, you can manipulate it. And so there's a lot of things you have to really make sure that you're not manipulating the muscle testing. You're just getting a true answer.
The intent of the person administering the tests. Yep.
Yep.
Kinesiology is called. What do you believe? For instance, at the last show I did, I was in a show in Arkansas last week, and I saw somebody selling these little wristbands, the little plastic wristbands, the hologram. Yeah. What do you think about those things? Because they're demonstrating using kinesiology how this is going to change your life. All these things will make these claims. What do you think about those?
I don't put a lot of stock into those.
Okay. Because I see them every once in a while, and it's just a little plastic rubber band that's got a little hologram or chip in it or something that's going to change your life, they claim. Okay.
I mean, it could be doing something, and maybe one or two people, maybe it has, some of these have like a crystal or something in it so they can store a frequency. Maybe if they just happen to hit the right frequency you need, it will help. But I've seen all kinds of muscle testing demonstrations to show a product was good, but sometimes they're manipulating the person, or the person doesn't understand muscle testing and the person's pushing harder or less, or there's so many ways to manipulate it, or just by suggestion. If you tell the person this is going to be really good for you and then you test them, and it's like, well, if they believed you, it's going to be really good for them.
When I was trying to demonstrate whether or not I could believe, because it's very hard to prove this, I actually took a fish scale. And okay, let's do it this way. You push on or pull on my arm or whatever, and we'll see how much pressure you're putting on it. See if it's really making a change by holding this other whatever up against my chest, a supplement usually, that they're trying to sell me. Because everybody's trying to sell you something essentially. So you're holding a supplement, okay, let's use the scale, let's see if you're really administering the same. If my arm really does go down, deflect as much with this device, this up against my chest or wherever you're doing it. So I was trying to find a way to test, to really scientifically test this somehow, because it seems like magic sometimes when people do this. And okay, this calcium, this is what you need. This is definitely, you take this and they'll tell you how many pills to take and everything. And overall, what do you think about the whole kinesiology thing since you were involved in it? You still very much, you believe in it?
I believe in it if you use it correctly. Unfortunately, I mean, just like with muscle testing and with the whole energetic field of what you want to call energy medicine, there's a lot of fake stuff. And there's a lot of people doing it incorrectly. So you have to understand the limits to it and how to do it right. I mean, one of the fields that study a lot with kinesiology is chiropractors. And some chiropractors would do adjustments by it. And there are different tests for different muscle groups because they're basically putting that muscle in action and then testing before and after. And they can tell where the vertebrae are out by that. That's maybe a little bit safer than just someone stick your hand out, hold this bottle, and test. But yeah, there's
the chiropractors. In fact, that's usually what I see doing it these days. Usually, it's a chiropractor, and frankly, they hardly even do the traditional chiropractor anymore. They're just doing mostly muscle tests. Maybe there's more money in, maybe they get more results. But I had on this program Dr. Tent. He's rather famous in the world of kinesiology out of Michigan, and he gets in. I've never seen him give an adjustment because he's always doing the kinesiology instead. So I don't know. Maybe there's more money. I don't really know the reason for that, or maybe it's safer than putting somebody's back in the wrong place and having a lawsuit.
And I've also seen a lot of people who are were not good at it. You try to teach them and stuff, and they just can't do the muscle testing accurately. So it really depends on the person and their skill levels. I'm not really sure why some people just can't do the muscle testing right, but it might have something to do with their own energy field or polarity or something. But for some reason, some people just can't do it. Some people just can't clear their mind. So in other words, when you're doing the muscle testing, a lot of times you have to be completely clear and have no agenda. Because if you have an agenda that this supplement's going to be good, well, you're already affecting the test. So you have to just be completely blank, and whatever it shows is what it shows. But a lot of people can't get to that.
Or this one's more expensive, let's try this one.
Yeah. So
What about, okay, we talked a little bit about the blocking devices to put on cell phones. There's other types of devices you can wear. We talked about the one on the wrist, or wear as a pendant. Are you categorize all those in the same thing, that we really don't have evidence that this is really, this stuff won't work? I've tested that one of the devices with radiation, and I know it doesn't block radiation like the nuclear radiation anyway, but it can be, you could test with a trimeter or something else to test these things too. And I never got around to testing all these things because so many of them seemed like they were rather hokey.
And they're coming up with so many every day.
Is there any that you can recommend? Any types of things that you can recommend for people?
Well, one thing I really like is LifeWave. They make
Explain what that is.
so LifeWave is a company, and they make patches. And this would go along with what you know with laser. It's actually laser therapy patches. They call them light therapy. So what it is a patch that has a frequency in it, but they make it out of a material that reflects body heat. So when you put it on an acupuncture point, it actually is reflecting your own body heat, which is a form of light, back into you.
There's no electronics in this device then?
Nope.
Okay, I'm trying to, because I don't know about this. So.
And it's not a patch that is what we call transdermal. It's non-transdermal. So that means it's not putting anything chemical into your body. Okay. It's just reflecting different wavelengths of body heat back to you to stimulate your body's production of its own chemistry. Just like if you go into the sun stimulates your body to make vitamin D. So what they're doing is they're studying different wavelengths that are needed to stimulate your body to make its own chemistry. And they're making patches now that you can wear to do that.
Are they customized to the client?
They're not customized to the client. I think they have 7 different patches now. One's for pain, and it works great. They have one for increasing your glutathione levels, which is a master antioxidant. One's for Eon, which is for inflammation and pain.
So they're pre-programmed with a frequency that's going to help that particular ailment.
One's for energy and endurance, and that was commonly made popular by Michael Phelps. He wore it in the Olympics, and it was not illegal because you're not putting anything physically into the body. So.
And as those LifeWaves patch you called it, does the I'm thinking and I can't remember the name of the machine we talked about earlier, the biofeedback machine. Does that have the capability of making such a patch? Because that would be a customized. Instead of using a homeopathy, but what about?
You could program like a patch and
and then you could program with a bunch of frequencies to change all the parameters that are off center, off balance, whatever.
But I like the company. They have good research, and they have the double-blind studies, and they have the clinical studies that show how your glutathione levels increase by wearing the patch and stuff. And yeah, I've had great results with them. So that's
are these things expensive?
Well, they're not cheap. Unfortunately, the only problem with the company is it's a network marketing company.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of companies do this now.
So they're expensive because of that.
Yeah. So the best way to get them is you join and then you just buy them for yourself.
And are they?
Other than that,
Do they last a long time, or do they have to be disposed of after?
They last 24 hours on the body. So usually I tell people wear them, 12 hours a day, take them off at night, and wear them again the next day.
It's a one-time use, and then they wear out, or what? I mean.
Yeah, from what I can understand, there's a liquid inside, and the body heat burns up that liquid, and then that's when they stop working. That's the only thing I could figure out so far.
And so maybe the energy profile is programmed in that liquid, and when it evaporates or gets lost, that it doesn't work anymore.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Is there a way to test if they're work? I guess not. You wouldn't be able to put them. You wouldn't. There really well no other way to test it other than you got results or you didn't. Probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But other than that, there's really not any other company I could recommend people wearing things. I use EarthCom sometimes. You can go to their website. They have products that you can plug into your wall to help make your house more safe. Again, it really doesn't reduce anything.
From electromagnetic frequencies?
Yeah. The only thing I have seen it reduce is if you had what they would call dirty electricity from really bad wiring in the house.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen that reduce on a tri-field meter with their unit. But I can't prove that it's changing any Wi-Fi or anything like that.
Well, but you're proving that it's reducing the levels on the meter. You can prove that then.
Right.
Because you can wire a house differently. You can even, I think with AC, you can twist the wires, wire it like spiraling when you install them, and that will greatly reduce the EMF signature in the home. Mm-hmm. Or you can go to DC wiring. Okay, what else? Got about almost 10, maybe 8 minutes left. What else would you like to
Well,
energetically, or you want to come on another topic?
we can go on anything.
Are you concerned about modern cars with all the computers on board and electromagnetic signatures of the body? Do you believe there's any danger to any of that, all the modern devices in the cars?
I'm not sure about that one yet.
The signals,
There's probably going to be some. I mean, because you have the Bluetooth, and I think out of all the technology, Bluetooth is probably the most concerning for me.
That's right at your ear.
But yeah, I'm talking about the Bluetooth
The
piece, because in the car, the Bluetooth is just basically connecting to your phone. It's not really going right to your head. But those Bluetooth devices in your head, I mean, they're like a super antenna. So they pull in things all the time. So those I would be concerned about.
All these other devices, Google Glass, I don't think we even have them anymore. All these other devices that people we're beginning to wear things on our body that are electronic now. I mean,
yeah, the Fitbit things, I don't like those. I would stay away from those. And in fact, I don't know, did you see the reports where they had problems with, I think there was a lawsuit because they had Fitbits that were burning people. They were overheating and burning people.
Just the heat of the battery, probably.
Yeah.
Too much.
Well, it's running nonstop almost. Some of these people wear it to bed, wear it all day, and it's basically like attaching a phone to your wrist all day.
Okay.
So, but most of the people I see that come in wearing those things, they usually have pretty bad readings on the testing. They're usually pretty worn down.
So you can see it on the machine.
Yeah. So I recommend, you don't need that. I don't know why people would need it. You don't need a device to tell you when to breathe and how many steps you're taking. I think that's the only thing I'm worried about with a lot of the modern technologies. You know, they're going to this whole idea of cars that self-drive. I don't know if I want a self-driving car. I don't think I want someone hack into your car and then you're hitting a tree or something.
I still can't see. We'll see. Time will tell, and I don't think I'll ever see the day during my. I hope I'll never see the day during my lifetime where there's nobody in cars other than people, passengers. Why else would you have to have? Why do you need a self-driving car?
Well, what's the big company trying to do that now? Is it Tesla?
The
Tesla car company.
Yeah,
One of them wants to have the self-driving, semi-truck delivery trucks, where basically there's just a technician in the truck that monitors the computer software, but everything else runs itself.
Or Amazon wants drones flying around delivering packages. I see some problems with that as well.
Yeah. Whenever you have computers, you have hackers, so I mean, you always have that propensity to.
And that's more electromagnetic signature because these drones aren't flying autonomously. They're flying from a signal from some main remote control something or other, either computer control or human control. So that adds to our electronic nightmare that we're living in, if it's a nightmare for you. I don't think I personally sense anything, and I think most people are probably like that.
Most people don't.
And the FDA and all the other government agencies regulating this, maybe they're doing a good enough job because it's not affecting, it doesn't appear to be affecting hardly anybody, but those few small percentage that say they're hypersensitive, or is it just in their head? I don't know. I haven't been able to validate personally about signals. I mean, I have ringing in my ears, for instance, but I don't think it's due to any. There's a lot of potential causes for ringing in the ears.
Yes.
I don't think it's because the man put up a tower near my house. You see, it's just something that's my body has done because of something that's going on in my body, which the doctors never seem to know anyway.
And the big thing right now that everyone's concerned about is a lot of the networks right now in America want to go to the 5G. So a lot of people are saying, "Oh, 5G is going to fry us." So
They get scared. But right away, it's the fear.